My name is Frank Swiderski. I joined the Army in 1969. Having left high school in 1966, I worked as a clerk for 2 years. And then with my friend Ken Stiles, who I met at high school, we decided we wanted to be a bit more than clerks on the railway, so thought, well, what are we going to do? And Ken came up with the idea, well, let's join the Army together. So we did, and we went off to recruit training in 1969 together. We just had a fantastic friendship from the start, even when we were young. After recruit training, he went into infantry and later on joined 3RAR. And I went off to Puckapunyal to do my corps training. So the job as a petroleum operator in Vietnam just had different components to it. One day you could be working at the curbside refuelling point at Nui Dat, which refueled all the vehicles. We had a huge refuelling point at Kangapad at Nui Dat, which could refuel I think up to 16 helicopters at one time. And we also refueled the Dust-Off, the air ambulance helicopter, on a 24-hour basis. So when we were there, it was an easy enough job, but when you were there, you were sort of on duty 24 hours. So you'd work from sun up to sundown, starting up pumps and receiving fuel, bulk fuel and all that to keep the supplies up. You went on gun posts of a night time, 2 hours on, 2 hours off. Pretty frightening, just sort of young bloke sitting behind a gun, just peering into just absolute pitch darkness, and suddenly you'll see 6 fireflies or something. You go, oh, your heart goes pitter patter, and you go, oh no, that's it. No, it's okay, nothing there. I was at a helipad waiting to go out to a fire support base at 3RAR, and there were some blokes just standing around there from 3RAR, and I said, any of you guys know Ken Stiles? I said, yeah, and I forget what Chunky or something his nickname was for them, He's over there, and I said, well, I'll write out a note. Can one of you give him the note, and this is how he can contact me when I come back to Nui Dat? And I said, yeah, no worries. So about a few weeks later, Ken got in touch with me, and then we just sort of had this reunion in Vietnam, where he just sort of, 3RAR lines were sort of just up the road there in the rubber plantation. The fuel installation that we had at Nui Dat, the curbside refuelling point, was sort of down here, and there's a big road that went up to it. And he just come walking down this road, and I went walking up the road, and we just had this big hug in the middle of the road, Fantastic, fantastic. So we had the odd ale or two that night. Beer was scarce where he was. It was fairly plentiful where I was, because we worked hard and we played hard when we could. So we had this fantastic night together, and we just said, see you later and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, that was it. And then sort of as we went through life, we just sort of stayed in touch, and we just had this fantastic friendship. Yeah. And there's a photo there of us. I think it was just after it might have been my 50th birthday. So he sort of went into semi-retirement, I went into semi-retirement. So we started seeing a fair bit of each other here in Perth. And it was just, it was just fantastic. And unfortunately, we're at the point of our lives where we were going to sort of just have this wonderful friendship for the rest of our lives, and he contracted cancer, and that was it. He passed away in 2005. When we all came back from Vietnam, there wasn't any meet and greet or anything like that. So you just arrived at 2 o'clock in the morning, Sydney Airport. You got your leave pay and everything else. You went on your leave. I suppose the best way to explain it is that I was at home at Mum and Dad's, and I thought, oh, I'll go over to the pub, have a beer. first day of leave at home, you know. Walked in the pub and just sitting at the bar there, ordered a beer, drinking a beer, and someone across the bar that knew me said, "Oh, Ski, you know, haven't seen you around for a while, where you been, you know?" And I said, "Well, actually I've been to the Vietnam War." He said, "What? Vietnam War?" He said, "You're joking." I said, "No, that's where I've been for the last year." I said, "Counting off the days till I can come home here and have a beer, you know." He said, "Well, what a bloody waste of time that is." He said, "What a total waste of time being in Vietnam is. What are we doing there?" And I thought, oh, okay. So I just drank my beer. I went home to Mum and Dad's. I didn't go to the pub for the next 2 weeks. I thought, no, leave that. And then that's probably why, and the same thing probably happened to a lot of other people in different ways, you know. People would have said, oh, you know, no, we're anti-war or whatever. They didn't sort of appreciate that you'd been absolutely, you know, doing a lot of hard work. I never cared for the politics of it, you know. I was a soldier. That's what I joined the army for. I was there to do a job, did the job to the best of my ability, and you know, that's all I was worried about. I wasn't worried about anything else. Camaraderie just means long-time friendships, and they're friendships that sort of never get broken. Like, you can have all these friends. Like, a guy just dropped in the other day with his wife. He's caravanning around Australia, rang me up and said, "Ski, we're in town," you know, like, well, come on over for a barbecue, you know. You don't have to see these people every day of the week or every year or whatever. You can have a 5-year break or whatever. Well, we had 10-year breaks after the Vietnam War, and just rekindled these friendships, and they just never die, never die.